So the next person that we're going to call to ask their question is the president of the South Asian Long-Term Care Foundation, Harchand Gurwal.
The Press Council of Edmonton for arranging this forum. It's very informative and a lot of the questions being answered, and I think they have been answered honestly. Now, as you're aware that the last City Council set aside 8 sites for senior housing. Now the question of the taxes for seniors or the security for seniors has come up, but I think more important than that is the housing for seniors. Now in the last 3 years, out of those 8, the council has approved only 1 project, and which happens to be in the southeast sector, which happens to be the project which we are collaborating with the GDF. Now my question to you is, if you are elected as a councillor, what would you do to expedite the development of those at least 8 sites, if not more, for the senior housing in the city of Edmonton?
We need to be making sure that a percentage of this new development, a percentage of new areas, are for people like seniors, lone families, single parents, basically social housing. We need social housing, we need affordable housing, we need seniors housing, and that's easily achievable as long as City Council grows its spine and mandates and works with developers and tells the developers what to do, that we need a certain percentage of housing for seniors, lone families, single parents, etc. Because right now, not everyone can afford these $500,000 homes that are being built all around these new areas.
The key issue, I was on the website actually yesterday just by chance, and they're talking about how they have been identified, but funding of course is the key issue, right? And I think at this point, it's important to work with the Human Service Ministry, for example, within the province to ensure that this is no longer just an issue we can ignore. This is one that needs immediate action. As a council, that's where you can advocate with the provincial government. It's good that sites have been earmarked, especially in the ward, but I remember driving by the site you're talking about, and it just has a sign saying, you know, senior housing coming soon. But we need more tangible answers than just that.
The majority of my platform seeks to try and free up those monetary resources so that we can expedite the processes on building those homes. Like I've said, I've recently lived in subsidized housing. I know where there's areas there for improvement just internally in that department. And so I think that there's a lot of room for improvement that we can be made just by even simply taking a look at it and saying, do we need to spend on this? Why are we doing that? That's really what needs to be done, is we just need to communicate better and try to ensure that these projects get completed in a timely fashion.
Notwithstanding that senior housing is required, it should be spaced throughout the city, so wherever someone lives, they can be close to their family and friends so they're not completely isolated. And in order to speak to an issue intelligently, I'm one that I like to review the documentation that's being provided by the administration and other areas of government, and then do my own investigations and then look at how this can be done. But I would be very, very committed to having this built because this is a need.
What I would definitely do, because we have a huge aging population coming up and also the birth rate is low, which means that there's not going to be a lot of people supporting those seniors, we need to see different options to get this working. Every level of government is broke. There's no money. So we need to find a different way of approaching this. I would look at how Shepherd Gardens was built and look at if there's another company that wants to do something like that, the city would allow them to build that if a certain amount of units were allocated for senior housing.
I think you're correct. We need to hurry up and build our seniors housing, and we need to partner with business and nonprofits, the ones that are able to help us get this need completed. Our tax dollars should go towards Ward 12, and we need to start looking long-term and allocating money where people live, and that means right here in Ward 12. It means making our money work through our budgets and to make our money work for residents. This is a need that will continue to grow.
Thanks, Mr. Gurwal. Very good question. Edmonton, especially Canada, is built on multiculturalism. In Edmonton, there are so many agencies that are willing to help out in the seniors department. I think the city needs to consult and in collaboration with the other agencies, the other levels of the government, whether it's provincial, federal, we can accommodate and we can accomplish all 8 senior homes that were approved in principle so that we can address the needs of our senior citizens who it is our duty to accommodate them.
Looking after seniors is a provincial issue. It's the same with fighting poverty is a provincial issue. So I would work with the provincial government. I don't care if people like Rachel Notley or not. She might not be in power for war, but regardless of the flavor of provincial government, I would work with them to improve senior housing. There is not a lot of senior housing in this ward. I checked on that earlier on in the campaign.
8 of these surplus school sites have been identified for construction of new seniors home. And as a matter of fact, a couple of them falls in our ward, such as Saka and Christie Garden. If I get elected, I want to make sure that I will advocate stopping the mismanagement of money and with transparency to every tax dollar, we will soon have enough money to expedite these projects.
Now, in Sherwood Park had to come up with one of these. They approached multi-levels of private donors. They set up a non-profit organization. They worked with churches. They worked with the community leaders, and they all worked together to build that. We have more of that than they do. We have more churches. We have more non-profit organizations. We have the best volunteer community in the world per capita. We just have to be not afraid to join hands and realize that we have to work together to meet our needs.
City has $4.3 billion capital budget till 2018. And if you would agree with me, there is also snow removal surplus in the city. So those pockets should be looked into, and we should provide some funds for developing these 8 sites.
Well, we were talking about seniors and children, right? We need to build a seniors facility so that we can take care of the seniors, and we need to build schools. Well, I saw a model when I ran last time, it was presented to me, that they're running in Europe, where they have a K-6 school attached to a senior's home. So all these seniors that have all this wonderful stuff to share with our children, to give them a really solid foundation in their education, can come and work with the kids daily and give them an activity to fulfill their lives and, for the future of our children and everything.
We need to partner with our faith communities. They were the first ones in this province to build seniors' homes. The Affordable Supporting Living Initiative, ASLI program eventually, was supposed to eventually partner with these communities. The big success for that is the Winkey facility in Calgary, built by the Chinese Christian community. And I think we have an opportunity to move forward on all these projects and make sure that we have a higher quality of life, not just for our seniors, but for our next generation. Thank you.
Everyone has to become a senior one day. At that age, everybody needs affordable housing. So we have to start with that. And I am following this with your association even for the last few years, as Councillor Sohi identified and even the city identified those, but Councillor Sohi was able to make that on the southeast. That was his efforts. But that's not even in Ward 12, so we have to extend that to Ward 12 as well. And I promise that if I become a councillor, I will continue working on that. The pre-plan plus 1 senior, at least houses for Ward 12.
Pardon my ignorance, but I didn't know anything about this, it's something I definitely would work on. But I have to agree with one of the other previous speakers that although the grounds have been approved, we need the money to build. And if the NDP, and it's not if, the NDP has already said that they're going to go over budget spending on infrastructure. So what we need is somebody who has, or who can advocate on behalf of this need. And it is a great need, there's no doubt about it. So, as a city councillor, I would put pressure on our mayor when dealing with the needs for infrastructure funding